Right, welcome back YouTube. We're going to chat about dieting, why we diet, when we should diet, how to maintain hormone function and regularity. I'm going to speak about it more so from a female perspective. For myself personally, I am a female and talking from experience is probably the better way to go about it when it comes to bodybuilding and sharing thoughts and feelings, because if you talk about it from a science perspective, not every fact will fit every person. So if I can speak about my journey and share the things that I've potentially either gone through or felt or done, people can potentially learn from that, apply it themselves if they'd like to, or not if they don't want to. So when it comes to when to diet, you have to be ready to diet. So if you're a first-time competitor and you've never gone through an off-season, you've never been consistent with foods, you've never been consistent with training, you've never been consistent with steps, with cardio, etc. You first need to go through a phase of being consistent before you even think about dieting. You have to earn the right to diet when it comes to being a competitor. And if you don't have that consistency, trust me, you don't want to go through a diet, especially a competition prep, because it's not going to end up in the best way. That prep is going to feel absolutely horrendous. If you've gone through that and you're out the other side, you're unscathed and you're going through bodybuilding, I take your hat off to you, because that is the same as me. But I wish that there was more information, especially from potentially a female perspective, to go through that process of building a little bit, or at least being consistent, could we say, before you think about doing a diet or doing a competition prep. When it comes to doing a competition prep, it is harsh on the body, especially as a female. You are going to have to go very low with your calories. If there's someone that can go through a competition prep and not have to go very low calories, again, I take my hat off to you. 99% of people can't do that. The dig happens. So you've got to understand that that's going to happen. I couldn't suggest or recommend enough going through a long diet phase without the pressure of a competition prep first, so that you can understand the feelings of being very low body fat, or at least the feelings of that harsh diet and what it feels like without the pressure of a competition, because you tend to find that you throw the little pressure of the competition in, and then it creates extra pressure that is on that. Things like food relationship get much worse, and even things like post-show food relationship ends up in a little bit of a bad way. Binging, things like that, gaining too much body fat, ending up with a really poor food relationship, and ending up coming away from bodybuilding very prematurely with maybe even so much things that you could have gained off the back of it. So definitely go through that phase first before you think about doing a full-blown competition prep. When it comes to a competition prep, right towards the end of your diet, your calories are going to have to go from somewhere, and because you are trying to get lean levels of body fat, or to a lean level of body fat, bodybuilding is extreme. It requires extreme actions, it requires extreme actions. Yes, when it comes to people right at the top of, like, in a bikini class, etc., is there a requirement to push when they get to a point where they have that physique all the time there? Probably not. No, they can probably maintain on a decent-ish amount of calories. But when you first start in bodybuilding, and definitely for most other actual classes, at the end of the comp, it's going to be extremely low foods. Fats are probably going to be quite low, so don't be surprised if you're looking at your fats and go, oh, they are quite low. And obviously carbohydrates are going to be lowered. If you do need to pull calories, sometimes even protein has to get lowered. So just be aware of the fact that that is probably going to happen, and not everybody can get away with very high foods. I mean, you shouldn't have that right from the start of a competition prep, but it will definitely get to a point where that happens. With that, especially as a female, with lower fats in your diet, lower body fat, etc., off the back of that comes the fact that it can start affecting female function. People start losing their periods, etc. I think that my first 2 competition preps, I didn't ever lose my period. I definitely wasn't lean enough for my shows. My foods were definitely low enough, but I definitely wasn't lean enough. I didn't have the muscle mass to get as lean as I wanted to, and I didn't lose it. But then off the back of that, every other competition prep that I have done, I have lost my monthly cycle, meaning that like for the last 8 years or so, each year there's been a time where I have lost my monthly cycle. Right now, because I've chosen that I want to put my health at the front of the agenda and have my monthly cycle kind of around for a very long time, that is why I'm going through the process of taking quite a long time away from the stage, and also why I've taken a long time before going into a next diet phase. We've regularly checked my blood work since the Olympia to see how my natural function has come back from a hormone perspective. My monthly cycle came back around 6 weeks to 8 weeks per show, but like there's a difference between having a proper period and not. Like it was very light, etc. Only recently has it become almost a little bit more normal. So this is why natural competitors promote the need to stay in a surplus or doing a longer off season off the back of a competition prep rather than doing one season to the next, because that first initial off season's about regulating your hormones again. It's about getting you back to homeostasis, staying there for some time before you actually then go into another competition prep or another diet phase that can essentially do the same thing again as to what's actually happened in that previous competition prep. Again, I wouldn't change anything that I've done. They're the decisions that I choose to make. I knew the risks of bodybuilding when I started, but it's important that we talk about that. I am now at a point where I can diet. Some of my hormone function can definitely come back up some more, but I'm definitely at a point where we're not at risk of losing my monthly cycle, making my hormones worse, if we approach the diet in a sensible way. So I won't be approaching this diet like I do in a competition prep where fats will go a little bit lower, we'll go to really low calories, etc. It's more just a case of pulling back on calories enough to regain my appetite, because that is not there anymore, and just to make sure that my body can essentially just be a little bit leaner so that then it can go into more of a calorie surplus afterwards. So before you actually decide to do a diet, you need to make sure that your hormone function is good. It has been for a very long time, and that you're actually in a place where your body and your mind are in the place to be able to do a diet, because if they're not, they both work in synergy together. So if you're trying to go into a diet too prematurely, both from a hormone perspective and from a mindset perspective, it's never going to create the most positive of outcomes when it comes to a competition prep. There is for sure a difference between a lifestyle style diet and a competitive diet. You don't have to go ridiculously low with your calories. You don't need to go ridiculously low with your fats when it comes to a lifestyle diet, because it's about creating a meal plan that you can actually adhere to and that you actually feel great with as well. Whereas obviously when you're in a competition prep, it's about getting the job done. It's about getting the body fat off. It's about achieving a great look with your physique so that you can step on stage and actually be competitive. And we never would want to put someone through the process of it being extremely unhealthy, but towards the end of a competition prep, that last kind of 5-6 weeks when body fat is low, when calories are very low from both carbs and fats, and probably likely protein at some point as well, you'll find that obviously you don't feel your best. Whereas from a lifestyle perspective, the goal isn't to completely deaden someone, to really create for bad hunger signaling, etc. It's just about resetting your body so that you can actually just look and feel really great as well. So I'm at a point where I'm able to diet right now. It will be more of a lifestyle style diet where fats will still stay at quite high, calories won't go ridiculously low, where I can just reset my body, definitely reset my appetite so that I can be in a really great place to be able to continue the process of being away from stage, having my body happy and healthy, and creating the progress off the back of that I need to make, which is a little bit of extra lower body fullness, as well as tapering down the size of my upper to create a physique that is much more fitting for my class, which is figure. Sometimes you have to take a little bit of time off from the stage. Don't be afraid to do it. Learn from the natties and do it in a way that's a little bit more healthy for your body, even though the end of a competition prep is definitely not the most healthiest of things.